Police officers. Young kids often want to be police officers when they grow up. You get to wear a uniform, carry a gun, and most importantly, have a car with a siren. Of course, being a cop can be dangerous and is very high stress. The hours may be difficult, especially when first starting out, and let's face it, you are an officer, and so you see the worst and are training to look for the worst. There is also an always-on-the-job feel when you are a cop, and distressing when off-duty can be challenging for cops. Many suffer from dependencies and depression, two key ingredients for suicidal thoughts. Farmers. Each time I go to the grocery store it is a hassle, but you know what is harder? Growing the food that we take for granted each day. Farmers have one of the most difficult jobs in the world. Up early, work hard all day and late nights. The job is unforgiving and there really is no out, given most don't have a college education to fall back on if farming does not work out. Farming also gives you a lot of alone time, that is a lot of thinking. Now consider how competitive the grocery market is and how traditional methods of producing food are often shunned today. That leaves farmers with no options other than to get up early and try to make a buck. That is not easy. Scientists. It is not always good to be the smartest person in the room. That is a lot of pressure. Scientists are all about discovery, and if they don't perform to their own goals it can be disappointing. Or worse, if a scientist uncovers something harmful, or is unable to reveal their results, that can lead to stress. Most scientists are focused in one area that requires lots of schooling and testing and certifications. Imagine putting a long day at the office or lab and then having to spend your evenings study complicated scientific methods. It is easy to see how this job can lead to depression and suicidal actions. Lawyers. Lawyers come in all flavors, and there are several different industries for attorneys to practice. Some require long hours, corporate lawyers, and others extreme stresses, trial lawyers, while for some the job are to defend your client regardless of what side of the law he is on, criminal lawyers. Legal counsels are relied on to provide the definitive answer, and the stress is intense. Couple that with the competitiveness due to a saturation of lawyers and you have a recipe for self-destruction. Out of all the types of lawyers, criminal law is the worst. The job is to defend your client, and regardless of your commitment to the job, there is a good chance that at some point you represent a client you believe is guilty. This scenario can make sleeping well an impossibility and suicide an option. Realtors. The world of selling houses and structures is fast-paced and insanely competitive. Not to mention, you are dealing with buyers that may or may not be serious and may or may not be looking within their actual budget. Most realtors are paid on commission, so they are at the mercy of the economy. When down, that means no one is buying, and that means you are not making money, so no food on the table. Having constant battles with other realtors, wishy-washy potential buyers in the economy equals a lot of stress. Add in the fact that realtors are never off the clock, and you can see why some end up taking alternate options and consider suicide as an option. Urban planners. Certain jobs require you to wear lots of hats and manage many areas. For urban planners this is true, plus you are often working to make life better for a particular neighborhood or community. Managing the politics and having a positive outcome can be challenging, to say the least. Individuals who go down the path of urban planner as a career are typically all in. It is not just your job, and it is your life. When plans don't develop as envisioned, or you see a way of life you did not expect, which can be difficult to deal with. All the long hours, the unions, and endless competition for jobs takes a toll on this job. Sometimes you find a way out, other times urban planners turn to other options. Chiropractors. The job of a chiropractor is a juggling act in many ways. Often you are running a solo practice with limited staff, and people who need a chiropractor don't necessarily book in advance. When you need a back guy, you call the back guy. Since the practice of chiropractics is not always covered by insurance, or it is difficult to be licensed, the lawsuits and paperwork for a chiropractor is endless. How would you like a high percentage of people you try and help turn around and sue you? Yeah, Being a chiropractor is not all it is cracked up to be and can lead to high stress with lots of bills and mountains of paperwork due to pending lawsuits. Finance planners, stockbrokers. Well, for starters, in the old days they jumped off the roofs of their buildings, not subtle. Working in finance is a series of ups and downs with a lot of risk. Your salary is dependent on how you manage other people's money, which you often have a lot of power over. When the economy is down or there is an unexpected turn, suicide rates in this industry skyrocket, especially for those with risky investments. When the economy is up, there is still a large amount of pressure and stress. No one makes or loses money faster than a stockbroker, and it takes a strong person to withstand the roller coaster ride of the markets. Some persevere, others don't, losing everything and finding suicide a way to end the chaos. Marine engineers. Engineers in general put a lot of pressure on themselves. Look at the suicide rate at MIT, it is higher than most schools due to the stress these students put on themselves. It does not get much easier after school and marine engineers. This job researches, designs, develops and constructs ships. There are a lot of variables involved and a million things that can go wrong, from faulty products to bad resources to a poor design. The hours are extremely long, and if it is your project, chances are this is your life. Obviously, building a ship does not happen overnight, so the stress continues to build. For some it becomes too much and the pressure impossible to deal with. Their mindset is not to just walk away. Instead, an engineer sees it for what it is, a failure. Pharmacists. What if drug dealing was legal? For a pharmacist, it kind of is. They fill prescriptions for antibiotics, depression and stress all day long. It is easy to see how this job could become depressing. Factor in the easy access to whatever feel-good medications you want and it can quickly become a recipe for disaster. Prescriptions are required because self-medicating rarely benefits the user. However, a pharmacist may forego the required steps and help themselves to the inventory, leading to terrible addictions which may lead to suicidal thoughts. Construction site managers. Anytime you have to wear a hard hat, there is added stress to your job. After all, the reason for the hat is because you are working in a potentially dangerous environment. In addition to a hard hat, construction site managers wear a lot of management hats. They work with white-collar employees who draw up the plans and blue-collar employees executing the vision. It is their job to make sure everything goes as planned. Short timelines don't help, and when you combine budgets, safety and resources, it is easy to see why so many projects are delayed and why stress and pressure are so high. Who is the person responsible? That is often the project manager, who is also the construction site manager. Veterinarians. Being a veterinarian is a calling to help others by helping their pets. Seeing someone lose a pet can be as crushing as seeing them lose a child. To become a vet requires lots of schooling and continued education once you start your practice. Many sacrifice their personal lives in order to help others, and over time this takes a toll. Without a proper life balance, this job becomes more stressful than others, and all it takes is a bad run before depression can set in with no outlets due to lack of balance. Vets may not be saving human lives, but they see and are part of the circle of life with their patients and pets every day. Most days difficult and stressful decisions are made, and it is their job to help guide these difficult decisions. Surgeons. First there is college, then medical school, which is brutal, then a residency where you are constantly tested, and then maybe you become a surgeon. The stress is high prior to the job, but intensifies. You are not responsible for the person you are operating on. You cannot save everyone, that is a fact, and overtime can be a hard pill to swallow. Depression is high in the world of medicine, and for surgeons extra high due to the precision of their job, always being on the clock and having people's lives in their hands. Surgeons are strong and proud and are often reluctant to seek help for depression or mental issues. Depression rarely goes away on its own and sometimes leads to suicide. Dentists. Dentists, similar to chiropractors previously mentioned, are often balancing their work with their practice, creating a high-stress environment with little time for life outside of the practice. In addition, dentists are increasingly relied upon to perform oral surgery, reconstruction and check for signs of cancer. Throw in insurance companies, it is always the insurance companies, a couple of lawsuits and you may find yourself suffocating, leading to a feeling of no way out and depression. Dentists can write prescriptions and get whatever drugs they want, giving dentists one of the higher suicide rates because it is easier to succeed. General doctors. Doctors don't go see other doctors when they don't feel well. They already know what to do, so they often self-diagnose and self-medicate. Sometimes this can result in accidental suicide, but for the most part doctors know the correct dosage, so suicides are typically planned. It is no secret the job of a doctor is stressful, and the pressure in this day of insurance companies can make it challenging to make a difference. Toss them trying to pay the bills, if it is their own practice, and doctors can feel overwhelmed and depressed in no time. With easy access to drugs, the easy way out is unfortunately too easy for this profession.